and thank you for being with us in this in the first International Angel Shark Day. IC is a non-profit, non-governmental environmental organization. We are based in Greece, and our efforts focused on the aquatic environment and more specifically the marine environment. We have 4 pillars of activities. The first one is the fisheries, the second one is alien species, the third one is aquatic litter, and the last one is the relationship between the human beings and the aquatic environment. Angel sharks are present in the Greek seas, and their biggest threat of all is fisheries related, and of course they are all critically endangered, and in this context we try to study those species and collect observations in order to help preserve them and conserve them. In Greek, the angel sharks have a traditional name, which is Rhina. Rhina is the common name for the species, and it's a traditional name because it used to be a delicacy, and it used to hold this traditional value for the coastal communities that brought it from their ancestors from small Asia to today's western coast of Turkey. We see here how the traditional meal was served, and the fishers community back in the day. This is a very old photo when the boats had no actual machine. This is a bottom trawler, and here we see how they used to sell the angel sharks and how abundant and common they were back in the day. Now, if you ask a fisherman about angel sharks, they will either haven't seen them in their whole life, or they would say that angel sharks has got extinct. Angel sharks belong to the most threatened families of sharks in the world, and not all of them, but most of them are critically endangered. So to protect them, we need to have a lot of data. But since they are scarce and their expansion is only narrowed in small areas, we need to deploy methods that allow us to have big data, and methods that, such as citizen science, is cost effective and give us the opportunity to have data from a wide geographic area. For this reason, we have deployed and created a group that's called Sharks and Rays in Greece and Cyprus. That is a part of a bigger collaboration in the Mediterranean NECO, and we also have an application called CLI. What we did to help gather the data is that we posted several information about the species, about scarcity, about the population status and the protection status, and it actually worked. So we got a lot of photographs and of occurrences of angel sharks sold in fish markets. Because in Greece the fishing is illegal, we got most of them via private message, but the most important thing is that we got them, and we also got information about when and where they were captured. In this context, in order to get an idea of all the elasmobranchs that are threatened and how they are marketed and sold, and the impact of fisheries on them, we launched a project 2019 that's called Elasmobranch Fisheries and Trade in North Aegean, where we would visit 4 towns in the northern Greece, Volos, Mechaniona, Kavala, and Alexandroupoli, that we would see the auction markets, the sampling sites, and the fish markets where we would go and record all the species of elasmobranchs that they were trading. We had two instances of angel sharks. The first one was at the fish market. Actually, because it's a traditional meal, you would see a lot of skates and rays skinned and sold labeled as Rina, which is a common name for the angel shark. But then we had one incident that we see here in the picture of a fish shop that had this label that said Squatina squatina, fished in Greece. And then we had a lot of conversations with the fishermen, and many of them either, as I said before, would say that they got extinct. And if they were lucky enough to catch an angel shark, they would eat it themselves because they know stories from their grandparents that they would eat it and it wouldn't be worth selling. At the end, we did the DNA analysis at that sample and turned out it wasn't Squatina squatina. But then again, we can see that at least there used to be a very big exploitation of the species. In order to check also the discards that weren't landed, we deployed this year, 2020, a project that's called Biolasmocats, where we'll go on fishing vessels per month, 2 per seines, 2 bottom trawlers, and 2 long lining boats, and would record all the elasmobranchs that they were caught. Until now, we haven't been so lucky for the species that we didn't find any angel shark, but one of the collaborated fishers stated that he caught one. It was a juvenile Squatina oculata, and he said he released it, but now we are more sure that there are captures. In this context, we also collaborated with the Shark Trust and the TUDAV Institute and WWF in order to create a sub-regional action plan for angel sharks in the areas of Aegean Sea and Crete, where we try to identify the threats and the goals that are needed to be achieved in order to preserve the species. So based on this context, we also developed 2 more projects in order to minimize the mortality and also to identify the habitat of the angel sharks in order to protect them. The first project is called Monitor Certain Elasmobranchs in Coast. So the goal here is to learn about the population, the abundance, and the activity patterns of guitar fishes, the spiny butterfly ray, and the Squatina squatina from past and present occurrences, and also deploying underwater visual sensors and baited cameras and local ecological knowledge, which we will do by interviewing fishers and sea users to try to find more about the species in the area. The reason we choose the Kos Island to do this is because we have a lot of occurrences from divers, seasoned scientists divers, and we have most of the records there for Squatina, not only in the island of Kos, but in Cyclades and Dodecanese. Most of the records are from there. So we developed another program that is solely focused in angel sharks, and the goals is aligned with the goals of the sub-regional action plan. So firstly, we need to identify the CASAs, and to do that, we will use modeling, habitat modeling and suitability modeling. And we will also, in order to get people sensitized and stakeholders and policymakers there, we will do a lot of actually 12 workshops with the local communities there in order to inform them about the species and also teach them how to report and identify and release them. All in all, we think that the preservation of endangered sharks in the Eastern Mediterranean needs to be done in a multidimensional approach. Of course, it's a process that it's dynamic, it never stops, but we think that the most important facts is the cross-sector collaboration, the capacity building of the stakeholders, the policy making decisions to be done accordingly to targeted research results, and also the citizens must be involved in this, either by participating in the policy making and also participating by helping the researchers through citizen science and capacity building. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you for hearing us. And let's hope that next year India Sharks will be in a better place in the Eastern Mediterranean. Thank you very much.